and more successful. Kinsel, I'm Chief Business Officer of YouTube, and in my day-to-day job,
did you because
professional and personal life. Now, when it comes to, but I have not been.
is that felt? Do you think it's a to share what the hell's going on within that company?
False positives by 30%. Whose intent is always on your side, and launch HBOs around the world and eventually to Netflix. And so what's at heart for us is that we deeply care to YouTube. So I've been around content, work for a movie production financing Dilbrig. This was like 3 years ago. It was like, he's on the rise, and of course.
It's kind of being the thought police, saying this is on social that said, we'll have more to share.
October, somewhere there. Yeah. And so all of your problems, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Well, quite a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes that the rest of the world doesn't see.
I'm a part of the problem with this, but drama is rewarded with views. Drama is...
Video was not something that, to us, chase.
Why do I have friendly? So we're going to cut your revenue. We think this might not be advertiser friendly.
Yeah, it was yours.
Trying to be generous.
And it's risky getting the input from creators saying, look, this was not correct. We think speech and freedom of information is really important to me, and that is why I...
What it's viewed as is about your upbringing in here. Yeah. Behind...
Might not have produced myself, but I'll just give you my little quick background. I started...
And around Christmas and New Year's, when all the Logan Paul
projects. However, and it's also just...
You took place.
So hopefully we can I'll make sure to follow her. No, but that's another category that we're really focused on. We're on opposite sides somehow, and we're not. Like, we're on the same side.
L Mills yet?
I live it, and that's both my profession.
On my YouTube channel, and talk about the
creators we think that this level is very deeply and every single day now on how do we create the right
way of saying
is proud.
Think of YouTube, and that means a lot.
What is important to us is the success of our became vegan, and we didn't want them to become vegan, and all around the world to eventually make everybody even happier.
YouTube affect culture to.
I'm talking about the inequality. So what our company has to do is sort of marry. There's no gaming basically. It's just all about like doing the right thing, and it is disappointing advertisers, and at the same time that it's not so far.
Okay, and this is not. Versus free speech, which is what YouTube has stood for so much so, and subsequent demonetization of his channel. None of that is referenced.
For freedoms.
Well, I would love... And then the second thing that I like the most, and I wish you had talked more about it, because I think it's just the first... Soon on the start of the other leaders that to us, here's what we stand for. There are a lot of other creators on this platform that I know would love to interview some of the senior management else. I emailed Robert here and said...
about the creator ecosystem. That's my job.
Didn't produce
really impactful. Suddenly getting.
Fortunately, this interview took place before they happened.
All right.
Thanks for watching. If you made it that far.
And it's the YouTube and it.
On social media.
Started to think about the let's tell creators that they shouldn't proficient at building. Get a press reply the next 4 months. Yeah.
There's a lot of frustration, expressed. How did it land on the homepage?
Painful and work, but it was something that helped us reduce punished. And that's not a good outcome, because then you don't succeed, we don't succeed. Like, nobody's happy.
Of culture, like what would you love to see?
Accessing it. And it has a different flair. My professional pictures and resumes and sending it to casting.
And YouTube's shortcomings.
I'm responsible for all of the YouTube creators and content partners. And I don't think anyone
needed to enable.
I personally advertiser.
And here's what to expect from us. So I invite you to now.
But hey, that's what you guys do. Risky stuff every day. Became an assistant and just went to work.
And there's
it's a technology, it's a massive career, and
culture of YouTube.
Freedom of information.
From a creator, from the most cynical creator perspective. Yeah, David's a star.
He's a star. So I know you have an eye for it. So I'll
understand how you figured this out. And I think that I, as a creator,
they build a plan.
The events that transpired around the first of the year, the Japanese. All right, welcome to this, but I can't have you on, Robert, without plugging.
And you're at scale.
The changes in the partner program. So you have to have 4,000 hours because that all happened after this
extension. We see it as yes, we heard the outcry, of course, and she found all the inspiration and all the arguments and how
to us, to the community. So thanks, YouTube. But people don't know you. So who are you and what do you do?
Sure. So I'm Robert.
On these things and its outlook for the future.
The community guidelines that we have set on YouTube, which really their stories, and nothing more painful is to feel safe and advertisers feel safe. Obviously, this video, are you talking about the drama you create?
In all my years in television, I never met
high enough for us to learn about the partner so that we can turn ads on them and not, so we're working on that quite busily.
What kind of creators would you like to see more?
And there are many wonderful examples. Freedom.
After the preface or something is when you talk of Logan Paul controversy is in reference to,
and then they won't go through the volatility. So that has worked. Creators monetizing. But we also want to make sure that.
And then what's it like inside of YouTube when something like that?
Really, really hard because you're just trying to stay.
Because it's still very. I just feel like at times that what creators want to make and what audiences want to see.
Got it in the mailroom of a talent
place.
Yeah, I mean we have.
How does you
an infrastructure on a unprecedented level on the platform. A massive platform.
How do you balance?
My older daughter who calling on this issue, I think that was maybe up living on YouTube, feel safe doing so. Want
to buy against. How do you rectify that? Like a lot of that is what are very fresh. Mm-hmm. And to lead that off, I'm curious.
Of course, with Logan and a lot of his projects for original productions, and you should know that we try so hard to get hours of video every single minute, streaming a billion hours a day in HD or with that they may not have in person somewhere else, but on YouTube they do. So we have these four, and then
Forrest, not at all referencing the more recent Logan Paul struggles of being a creator, having never been there yourself.
So at our expense for the sake of views, right? So bring revenue from the entire world to be associated with, but we think that. Because if somebody will involve people whose paychecks depend on it, so we don't want to make a rash decision to call it tension because it would imply that we're to argue and convince parents on YouTube. By the way, the one category, the more we develop our community guidelines, the more we hone them and develop our standards along those lines.
Certainly enough controversy taking place on this platform to warrant those interviews. So, future of YouTube and answer whatever questions I had. Is that fair?
That is absolutely.
The Logan Paul controversy. What's it like for you?
We truly care about everyone who participated in that.
Let me ask you about the yellow eye ties. A question or something I saw a lot on Twitter, the Iron Curtain and not having any access to media at all.
Simple answers to that, except that there was a lot of interest in that. Publish them yet, have them unlisted. It gets reviewed, it's scanned, and then.
Hope that's clear. Okay, here's the interview.
Out that it will be untenable and and unreachable for that. We want as many. There are hundreds of people for the sake of views and not use drama.
I've always had, which is that
speech.
Tell us who you are. I think most YouTubers, when they think of YouTube leaderships, they know Susan.
I can tell you there's nothing more painful than hear from the advertisers.
Last year plus, drama would be the descriptor I'd use to really drop.
If you don't succeed, we don't succeed.
TV studio head.
It's heartening. But we want feedback to keep sensationalism, not chase views for the sake of views, not use drama. I think you have. There are no.
Fair statement. Is that felt within YouTube as a company?
I wouldn't want
movies, but no one on the YouTube sort of senior executive leadership side.
And have learned it from inside out, and every angle. So I'm deeply passionate about it on YouTube. educational content. So what we stand for is really
Here's what matters.
on YouTube, that they can feel like they can share a bit more.
Watch time, 1,000 subs to monitor. You guys see that outcry coming for the player? Found that very insulting. I found that very upsetting. It was 9 days between it happening and you guys responding to it.
We can get there.
Culture,
Yeah.
YouTube culture. I've noticed the interview took place 12 days ago now, so
And creators, and make sure that they all succeed. And if they do, we'll be fine.
how does YouTube address something like that at the kind of scale that...
Yeah, I remember 4 core freedoms. That's totally fair, and I'm so happy to be here. So thanks for it. It's actually your idea. It wasn't my idea.
Vocal with what I see as YouTube's strength. Stuff was going down, and there was a lot of criticism of YouTube's PR and everything.
That's their choice. One of the things that we worked really...
And this question, this is more of a prompt than a question, but algorithm's mistake. Why does it have to cost me money?
And that's that's moving around. The technological prowess with content prowess together, and do it.
Stream pump.
YouTube creator myself. When you think about YouTube, it's really
About
and we want to be much more active.
there was a line in
If people are not happy, we have a problem, we're on the same side, we need to figure out how to fix it. On the severity of the issue at hand, we have escalation processes that take place.
and how would YouTube foster the kind of relationships rewarded with attention? Drama is rewarded ultimately with dollars. And I think
Video, there were a lot of searches for it all around the world on YouTube, is communication place. And we're looking at, and everything that I say is like that, we're on your side, we mean it. Users, for the platform organically, and not. I grew up in a communist country in Czechoslovakia behind the iron. What I didn't mention is by this. Right?
most people's questions.
But I don't mean the traditional educational sense. It's just that I've learned something new. Both sides think that we favor the other. Both sides.
Never met a movie studio editor.
Freedom of opportunity. Anybody to make a living on YouTube. I love what I do. And then the fourth one is
that let things like the Logan Paul controversy happen.
Yeah.
And that statement you guys put out.
Incentives for you've told that to me multiple times.
Okay, tomorrow I will be back to my regular programming.
Technological feat, and what you really need is people who are incredibly approve the plan and then they start executing it.
In cinema, I've never.
Problems are my problems. All of your wins are my wins. So we are how this.
What do you think of that?
Because they say, look, that's my brand, and I just don't want to. There are not going to be enough users. There's not enough advertisers. It doesn't work. You should know that we don't see this.
Understanding that that's where you're coming from, and now that you're in the position you're in, idea and this on it, but we're still playing it, so it's costing you, as a platform.
Sure. Works against the guidelines. You're hitting the nail on the head, which this is one of the hardest things. Scaling openness, developing a standard.
Platform is a way to tell all of us creators in the community what matters to you.
Are tight at the hips, and I just love what I do.
I think I know it may not make the most interesting or fun video, but I do think that this is an effective way for YouTube. Hear that?
Was our yellow monetization icon, because that really, which I know might have been communicated with creators, but partners. The partners are creators and advertisers. So first one.
I'm always very by reading this book, I get to understand monetization. When you guys made the changes that were made in response to Adpocalypse between the creator community and YouTube as a company, is that YouTube? Thank Robert for doing this, and then also to encourage YouTube to do more of this.
Amazing audiences, incentives, and opportunity, huge. And so
L Mills, have you discovered? Robert, thank you for coming on, and I want to say that
against it. That's how the process with us works.
So the steps we're taking to ensure it's
a company, so made a lot of films, and then went to HBO. Incentives and disincentives for that. We're thinking
the opportunities on the platform. I always
it's a huge opportunity.
How do you do better?
So we actually we had a.
This is sort of a first stab at that. He offered, thank you, to come on false positives. Did it catch you off guard?
It's making sure that users feel safe, creators, them,
And he said that's a great idea.
And that means a lot of different things. That means do the right things for advertisers, do the right things for their. We may not get it right, many times.
Any reference in this interview to Logan Paul or
A certain way, then all of you get.
the question, which is, how do you to know more specifically what's going on with YouTube with these recent events? Unfortunately,
Content funding, whatever it is, and then we put somebody on it and say, build a plan. So, sometimes that happens, and it's really hard to tell an advertiser, look, you must
eventually sort of metastasize into the kind of sensationalist content.
utilize the ecosystem.
A video like this is never circulated again. And I think that line of
Curtain. It's really important, the openness and freedom of
what do you stand for, and what is next for YouTube?
adjusting 450. So we ended up there. We do want to be much faster. We're looking at those processes, and
Ultimately is kind of the defining creator. I think that YouTube's never been good at saying
within
who wasn't at one time a TV producer and it was new or tiny YouTube channel.
and all of my
Well, let me end then with this encouraging. So
Yeah.
how do you respond to that?
So it just helps catch up on everything that's going on, and he doesn't do the right thing in there, and advertisers react. And so we were trying to formulate our response, and of course,
Just a quick preface here. This
who are making their living on YouTube and creating.
has ever made a living as a creator. So how does Susan
To do the right thing on
I've the
like a lot of news-related content on YouTube.
why not use the platform as a way to communicate YouTube's position?
What do we want to grow? We want everybody to grow, but what do we want to grow? And we would like more and more female creators, and that's when but our social response was delayed. And so what we were working on,
As a creator, it feels like there's a lot of tension.
reason or another, but the intent is always good.
I'll just kind of use this platform.
What we want to make sure that creators who are making a living hear from the creators, and you should know
Any of the previous controversies happen? Is there a protocol in place?
a little bit more that maybe is underserved, that maybe needs a livelihood. It's not just Logan, it's many other people across multiple.
All controversy and
It's heartening to hear
Sure.
that it's not cutting through. But you communities together.
YouTube empathize with this have to do with enables me to empathize with you and by proxy with YouTube more. So
And so we clearly have work to do of the ecosystem.
it died. Has channels seeing that as tremendously costing you the creator money while we
The thing that we have struggled with and hard on last year,
and the first movie that you ever saw was Terminator, but it was dubbed in Czech.
as important as ever.
Sort of in the last year.
Help operate an open platform like ours. There's less than 24 hours. Freedom to belong. People creating communities. It's our job to set those guidelines in place and incentives in place.
This is a big question. In your book.
Thank you, Casey. Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, I appreciate
in your
it.
awesome studio.
This is great. Have you ever made a YouTube video before?
No, it's my
You're the one pulling all the strings. Video like this had a lot of the community.
And by the way, every time you tell me that, I remember the last time you said, "Oh, you gotta watch this guy, David."
Questioning what that means, and this is a bigger.
Keep on coming, but that impacts so many people's. We don't succeed unless.
I just wanted to put this at the end to again thank more of on the platform.
Are you talking about me personally, or you
I
talking
mean
about
more
company?
to the bigger question at YouTube.
Depending on
Movement on the platform doesn't always align or doesn't align with what advertisers want to. Robert did not ask me to do.
everybody who's monetizing is doing the right thing, and it protects you succeed. If there are no great creators, what's most important is bringing these to anyone.
To take your
Agency, working with writers, actors, directors, stapling their over more and more on that, and truly the extra push in terms of our attention, extra push in terms of marketing,